Welcome back to Be the Good with Kate, the show that inspires each of us to see how we have the power to make a difference all around us. Each episode highlights an individual doing good in the world while following their passions, good for their own souls and for others. I get so excited about sharing each and every episode of Be the Good with you, and I hope you enjoy these people and stories. If you're new here, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you so much for your support. I'm so glad you found Be the Good with Kate and would love to hear from you. If you're finding value in these episodes, I invite you to share with someone who could also use this dose of good news, or tag me on social with your favorite quote from the episode. Every share, subscriber, review, and comment helps me to share these guests' wonderful work to more people. Thank you for your help in this. Now, on to this week's episode. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world. After 2 years of this wonderful labor of love, I will need to add in some sponsors to help the show grow and help these guests' incredible stories get out there to inspire more people. So I want to give you the heads up, and if you know a business of any size who would be interested in collaborating and aligns with our mission here, feel free to send them my way. Many thanks. In taking classes over the years or observing workout videos, one major piece that is often missing: stressing safety and form. Additionally, group fitness classes are often marketed as being open to all levels, yet how often do instructors not give modifications nor progressions so that each participant truly can get what he or she needs out of the class? So that's why I created the 101 series, which take things back to basics with 3 separate courses: Bar 101, Pilates 101, and HIIT 101, focusing on safety and efficiency so you can maximize your workouts. Be confident when you step into a group fitness class or workout on your own. Be strong in your execution of the most common exercises, and be proud of yourself for taking these huge steps forward on your health journey. Check it out at bebykate.com. The link is in the show notes. Now on to the episode. Today on Be the Good with Kate, I am thrilled to introduce you to Alise Saunders. Now, I usually give guests a couple sentences of an intro, but honestly, you need to hear straight from Alise because it's such a unique story. She is a digital nomad along with her husband, Greg. And I do just want to read one quote from her blog, and then I'm going to pass it over to Alise. She says, "I proposed to Greg that he retire early, sell everything we own, and take off to travel for a few years, sharing our experiences online. Naturally, he thought I was joking, but I wasn't. Life is too short to wait, Greg. COVID has taught us we never know what tomorrow brings, and life doesn't always give you the time you deserve on this planet. At the end of our lives, I want to be grateful for meaningful time we spent together. No more giving to each other is what's left over at the end of a workday. If you die in 1 year, will you regret not doing this today?" And what a way to set up this episode. Alise, thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. And please tell everyone who you are and what you do in your own words.
Sure. So I'm a digital nomad travel blogger. Digital, meaning online, is how I run my multiple businesses. Travel blogger means that, our business, we help other people to have this digital nomad life and travel and work and fully live.
I love that so much. And explain to us how you came to be in this place now, because you've had quite the journey with health and career and Greg.
Yeah.
And so fill us in.
Yeah. So, I had the stereotypical regular normal life, right? So I had a big corporate job, 6-figure salary. And then I really started to get super unhappy, very, very ill, and really realized that the illnesses and unhappiness was stemming from the job that I was doing, but also that I wasn't really living my life purpose. I wasn't really engaged with my life. I was just kind of going through the motions day after day. And that unhappiness was also part of just what was making me ill, that I wasn't connected to anything in my higher purpose. And so decided I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to leave this, 6-figure salary, and I'm going to live by my own moral code, right? I'm going to create the life that I want to be living. And so that just kind of was an evolution into, okay, now I have my own business. I'm loving it. I'm getting well. I'm happier than I've ever been. But the big question, is this it? isn't there even more out there? And just through a process of personal transformation and healing of trauma, I was able to really identify that I wanted to live like on full tilt. I wanted to max my life out. I wanted to know what it was like to really fully live, to take some risks, to feel that happiness and excitement about my life. And that's when the whole travel blogging came into be.
You know, there are recurring themes across all the guests in this show, and that I'm absolutely obsessed with, right? One is that it's never too late to change what you're doing, right? And the other is just how our journey is never we're on one road and we stay on that road. No matter what we do, there's always so much coming in and so many changes. And just in the last decade alone, you've had so many of these changes. So many, just in 10 years.
Right.
And that's not that long a time in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
It really isn't. And can you point out to people a little bit more about your challenge working through MS? Because that's a really incredible aspect of the story. And we recently had a guest who had a similar experience, I guess, in a way, with chronic fatigue and hearing no from all the medical team, and then finally discovering there is a way to find healing. So could you share a little bit about your MS journey?
Yeah, it's probably not the traditional MS story that you're used to hearing, or at least I had never heard of it when I had MS. So, again, I was just on this trajectory with my body and my mental health, where I was experiencing this significant amount of unhappiness, depression, anxiety, etc., and started having all of these different medical issues, irritable bowel syndrome, arthritis in my joints, decompressed neck disc, right? So it was like one domino after another. This was a significant wake-up call in my life, right? And then one day I just woke up and my foot was numb in the morning, and I thought, well, that was weird. But by the afternoon, the numbness had spread completely all the way up my body to my shoulder blades, right? So that level in my body. And the pain was excruciating. It felt like somebody was throwing a pot of boiling water on me like every 30 seconds. And so it was exhausting. It was extraordinarily painful. I had lost the ability to write my name, and bathing certainly was very difficult. And yet I still went to work. I didn't miss a day in the evolution of being, of having MS. I still didn't miss a day of work. In the diagnosis I did, right? But actually having MS, didn't miss a day, because it was just that self-abusive mentality that I had not yet identified and then transformed. And so through that process, nobody ever said, like, you're probably going to have this for the rest of your life, and this is what your life is going to look like. So when I was diagnosed, the first thing I decided was, well, I'm going to get rid of this. This is not claiming my life, right? And so I made that decision, and I set out on this journey to figure out how was I going to identify all of the things in my life that were unhealthy, from food to plastics, chemicals that I was coming in contact with. And so I basically did like a life cleanse, and it culminated with me going, I wonder if there's a connection between this and my job. And that was when I really was able to identify that it was, and had that conversation with my husband, Greg, of we've got to change this. And it wasn't an immediate change. It took some time to make that change from the job into my own business. But over time, I was starting to get well, because all of the changes in diet, exercise, reducing the chemicals, detoxing, right? All that had an effect on me. And the symptoms would get less and less and less and less, again, over a couple of years. And went to have my annual MRI, feeling absolutely great, telling the doctor, like, there is nothing wrong with me. I am perfectly healthy. And so took the MRI, and they could not find the lesion. Basically, I'd been able to self-heal that lesion which I'm so grateful that they did not say, oh, that's so rare, like this is never going to happen. You're always going to be that way. I just took for granted that was an option for me, set out to do that, did that, and then watched everybody run around in shock and awe. What do you mean you can't find the lesion on the MRI? What do you mean you're perfectly healthy? And what do you mean you want to get off the MS medicine? I'm like, well, why am I on it? I feel great. Like, like I'm not having any problems at all. And so, yeah, it's been years since I have been off the MS medicine. And, the only thing that I cannot do that's still MS related is I cannot flex my foot. I cannot try and straighten it, right? So if your foot's like this, you know how when you stretch, like you might put your feet out when you're like doing a full body stretch, how you flex your feet. I can't do that. It hurts. And that's it.
That's it. That's
That's
unbelievable.
It. Yeah.
And we need to keep hearing these stories because too often, right, the medical profession does write things off as, well, this is how it's been, so that's it. So I love hearing that story and absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So now you tell Greg, this is what I want to do. How do you get him on board? I mean, I love these good news moments and you just gave me one. And now tell me about how you actually started to get on the road.
Yeah, so we really just played with the idea of what was possible for us, right? So many times when we decide that we want something different in our life, first we throw up all of the reasons why, all of the obstacles, all of the reasons why it won't work. And so, we took some advice from my advisor, Kathy, which was, don't do that. Just go to a playscape that you and Greg create. Imagine yourself doing anything and everything. Don't worry about how much it costs. Don't worry about how it would actually come to fruition, and just see what it is that your heart desires. And when we did that, we realized that how much we just loved traveling. We wanted those experiences. We wanted to see places. We wanted to meet new people, have amazing different food. And so it just kind of evolved into a moment of we're supposed to be traveling. And so when I went to him and proposed this idea, of course, he said what most people say, someday when this happens, then this. And, that is when I looked at him and said, if we do this and you die in a year, will you have regretted it? And he said, no. And I'm like, well, then we need to do it now because tomorrow is not guaranteed to us. And, we talked about it. We did some heart searching and he was like, you know what? You're right. Let's do it. And so we set that plan in motion. Within a few months of that conversation, we had done a test where we took everything that we imagined us taking with us on the road. We packed it up in the car so we would know how much stuff it really was, packed our cats because we travel with our cats. We went to an Airbnb as if we were saying goodbye to our home for the rest of our lives. And, how does it work? How do we like it? Is this fun? And we both agreed, yes, this is the life we want. So we came back. Greg gave months' notice, hired his replacement at work. I gifted, sold, donated our belongings. We got a small storage unit the size of a closet, put the stuff that, is absolutely necessary, like art and photos and all that, and got on the road.
Oh my gosh. I mean, whether someone wants to do exactly what you're doing or someone wants to start a new job or a new project or anything from the smallest thing to the biggest thing, I mean, that is such great life advice of, would you regret it if we didn't do it? Would you regret it if we did do it? Tomorrow's not guaranteed, all these things. And like you mentioned, and it's mentioned in your amazing website that everybody has to go check out. I was telling Alise before we started here that I just couldn't get off of it earlier. I was reading blog post after blog post But, COVID really taught us too, of if we don't do it now, tomorrow is extremely not guaranteed, just as if we needed one more example. So
Exactly.
that's absolutely wonderful. And do you have any stories you'd like to share about those, just the best moments of your traveling experiences so far?
I was looking at some photos that we've taken over the past couple of years with what I call my good camera, right? Most of the photos that we use are actually from my cell phone, for all of our media, social media, blog posts, etc. But, I broke out the good camera and was looking at those photos and showing them to someone. And, there were photos of puffins, which I said to this person, I cried that day that I took this photo because it was something. I love birds. First of all, you have to know that if you don't know that. But it was something that I never thought that I would see in my lifetime. I have seen multiple moose. I have seen several baby moose. I saw a bison minutes after it was born in the open prairie land at Yellowstone. And, there are so many moments when I looked back at these images and I went, I cried joy, because it was something that connects with me. It is not lost on me that if I had not made this decision, all of the experiences, all the things I've seen, the 13-year-old race car driver that we met at the grocery store in Florida, who opened my mind to, from her perspective, what fully living looks like in the brilliant and wise eyes of a 13-year-old girl, to the animals that we've been able to see, to the scenery in Glacier, thinking about just that MS story that we were talking about. I could not grocery shop because I could not walk from the car to the store and through the store and back to the car. In Glacier, I hiked like 30 miles in a couple of days, up mountains, through some of the most beautiful scenery that I've ever seen in my entire life, that also, again, brought me to tears. It's these moments that it's not lost on me. What a gift, what an amazing opportunity, all because I made a decision. I made a decision to let go of the limiting beliefs, to let go of the fear, and to choose my heart's desire. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
The inspiration is through the roof here. I mean, I want to travel right now. I want to drop everything and get away from New York City right now. Just I could listen to these stories all day long, but I also know that you're helping others find ways to do this. Can you tell us a little bit more about working with other people with giving your experiences? Yeah.
Yes. So, when we started to get on the road, everyone that we ran into, and I really mean like everyone that heard our story was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. There was always followed by these buts, but this, but that, right? And so this is how we integrated this into our travel blog. Is so many people want to do what we're doing, but either have these limiting beliefs or misunderstandings, or they feel that trying to figure out how to get on the road is too daunting. And so we've done the work for you, right? So there's a course on our website where you can attack and transform those limiting beliefs so that you can choose the life that you want. We have a free ebook, How to Become a Digital Nomad, that literally breaks down every way that you could possibly want to become a digital nomad, how to do it, who to contact, right? It's got all of the steps, all the things you need to know about insurance and how to get mail and what domicile is if you want to be on the road full time. It breaks it all down. And then when you're like, okay, I've done all that, I'm ready, where do I go? we have that too. We have the destination guides on the website that break down some amazing, beautiful, awesome places. It tells you where to stay, what to do, like what types of activities, where to eat. We've done so much of the legwork for you. All you have to do is make the decision and look at our resources. We're going to get you there. And if you still have questions, we have consultation time where you can purchase some time with us and we'll answer all of your specific questions and needs.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now, Alise, when you're working with others or even just you and Greg with each other, are there any sayings or mantras that have really gotten you through, especially when this life gets a little more challenging?
Two things I would say to that. Number one, anything is possible, right? That's the first and foremost one, because we do get ourselves bogged down in our human brain with all of these things, all of the no's, all the reasons why. And we just at its foundation have to remember anything we want is possible. We just need to make the decision and we just need to start working at it. The second thing that I would say is, as we are in the process right now of getting all the paperwork for our visa to be able to move to Greece in a month from now, I would say that my husband looked at me and he was like, remember what you told me when we started, that when we do this, that, you know, we would not regret having done this. He goes, just remember, he's like, in a couple months, we're going to be through this process. We're going to be in our house in Greece with an ocean view. We're going to walk down to the beach. He goes, we're going to look back and we're going to go, no regrets, right? And so that's the other mantra, is continuing to live full tilt into our life, living without regret, not letting the individual mundane tasks of getting there keep us from getting there, right?
Yes, yes. And even I'm also in the fitness industry. So even with clients, what you just said hit me with, there's so many people who want to, even if it's a hike, if it's a simple hike, if it's going to Glacier for a giant hike, if it's, you know, pushing their grandchild in a stroller, and they're like, oh, but I can barely walk right now, or I'm so out of shape. And it's that getting pulled down by the mundane, right? No, it's not always fun to get up and do your 20 to 40-minute workout, but you know that the end result. And for you, you're in piles of paperwork with the visa right now, but you know what the end result is. And for people starting out, it feels overwhelming, but like you said, it's all broken down on your website and they can talk with you both and break it down so it doesn't feel overwhelming and to get to the end result. So that is such great advice. So my final question for this whole season has been one that I feel like you already answered, but just for the sake of continuity, I'll ask it, and you can maybe reword however you'd like. But if someone came to you and they said, I want to make a difference. Now, we've talked a lot about making a difference in our own lives with doing what you want. So maybe if it's making a difference outside of that, is there any advice you'd give that person? Like they don't know how to start. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So, you know, so much of what we're taught in making a difference is outside of ourselves, right? And so we're taught in society that the answer is always out there somewhere. And the truth is that everything that we need is right here. It's just a matter of connecting to ourselves in that way and being able to find the answer within ourselves. And so, you know, even from the perspective of, I want to get out on the road. And then a lot of times, sometimes I hear, oh, but, you know, I need these routes, or I'm afraid to be without my stuff, or, you know, I'm afraid that something crazy would happen while I was out traveling. You know, what if I were to get sick? Then what would I do? And so, you know, what I would say is that, what do you want more? It comes down to searching inside yourself for what is really deeply, passionately important to you. Is it fully living, or is it holding on to your tangible items that are in your house, or allowing that fear of what if I get sick on the road, to keep you exactly where you are? Because sometimes my biggest fear is being in the exact same place that I currently am and not being really where I want to be. And so, in connecting with ourselves, finding our true passion and heart's desire, identifying what do I really want? Okay, I want this more than all of these other things. And then start putting those steps in place to make that plan happen. It doesn't make it easy in the beginning, but I will say that as you continue to work the steps and you start to get excited, like I was talking about getting excited about my ocean view in Greece and being able to walk to the beach, that is exciting. And that helps pull me toward what I want rather than what I am attached to in the moment, keeping me from being able to move forward, right? I continue to move forward further and further away from the fears and attachments that keep me away from my heart's desire.
I always pull a quote and about 2 clips from every episode to share on social media. I'm never going to be able to just find that many of this episode. I feel like every other second I'm like, oh, that's the clip. That's the clip. Alise, I cannot thank you enough. Hey, where can everybody find you? Please share about your website and social media.
Yes, Tales from an Untamed Soul. So we love to share our stories with everyone about our travels. You can also find us at Instagram at Tales from an Untamed Soul.
Alise, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to stalk you and watch your pictures from Greece.
It's going to be amazing.
Yes, it will. Oh, I can just see the blue scapes now.
Me too.
Well, safe travels. Good luck getting the visa set up. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Today's shout out goes to Abby, nominated by JJ Kells. Abby is the manager at Chicago Canine Rescue. She's been working towards a career with animals for most of her life. While at Colorado State University, she started volunteering with Wolf Sanctuary to gain more experience with wolves, the primary species she wanted to work with. And she got a glimpse at nonprofit animal welfare life. As soon as she started down that path, she knew she would never be able to leave. Her fascinating journey helping animals eventually led her to Chicago Canine Rescue. She says, "It is hard and emotional work, but this team is so dedicated to the animals that it makes it all worth it. Some of us even had to sleep in the office to check in on newborn pups every 2 hours. I can't stress enough how important a small local shelter is to the community. Everyone here truly cares about these animals more than anything, and that is why I love it so much. Thanks for what you do, Abby."
Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Chericello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again and have a great week.